Hello everyone and welcome to today's session on career opportunities in SCM. As you know very well, when we talk of supply chain, is basically a very critical part of every function. We talk of manufacturing, you can't think of manufacturing without supply chain. And today's manufacturing, when I talk around 70 to 80% of the cost can be attributed to supply chain. When I'm saying supply chain, I'm talking of logistics, procurement, warehousing, inventory, everything. Similarly, when we talk of service industry, supply chain is again important part. Maybe the ratio is not that big as in manufacturing. When we talk of agro industry, again, supply chain is very important around. Think of mining industry, again, supply chain. We talk of any sectors. So supply chain is very critical part of this. So today what we'll be discussing is about the career opportunity in this very fantastic field around. And I'll try to cover presentation based on my personal experience. I went through the various careers around. I started my career as a designer after doing MTech. So when I was in the designer, then I know what type of issues I had around. Then I moved from designing to move to production. From production, I went down to do my MBA. And then after MBA, I thought, guys, this is a great field in supply chain in the US that time. I moved into the supply chain. So in supply chain, I've worked with wide range of companies abroad and India. I would say globally, many companies around. And lastly, I was in the UN as a chairperson of the whole supply chain. So I'll try to cover up my experience in the last 4 decades in terms of opportunity and what I see in the future years to come. So well, friend, with this, let me see what we plan to cover today. Understanding the SCM concepts, very basic thing first. I know many of you are with the supply chain, but some of you are coming from logistic backgrounds, some of you are with procurement backgrounds, some of them warehousing, some of them are students as well. So let's try to understand what exactly is the supply chain. So that's what I will try to explain now. Second issue which I will cover up, as I said in the very beginning, is careers in supply chain management. Strategy to accelerate. Like in any field, you just get a wonderful marks, great marks, you are a gold medalist from college, you join a career, but to grow in the career, you need a strategy. So strategy is a long-term thinking. Because sometimes we get so engrossed in day-to-day work, we don't think what is going to happen after 3 years, what is going to happen after 5 years. The type of job I'm doing, is it going to be relevant after 5 years or not? Or is the job going to evolve around? So you have to be strategist as on today's word around. So next thing is some people come and ask us certification versus degree. So this is where I'll try to clarify. I'm not trying to undermine X or Y. I'm just saying both are important, but we'll try to see when and where to use each one. The future of SCM. Because if you are trying to make supply chain as your career, you are a young person and you say, I want to make it into supply chain, fine. But then you have to know what is the future leading it. And if you want to cope up with the future, you have to improve your skills around. Now, coming back to the Q&A session, I know this session is basically based on question and answers. Again, I want to thank you all. I think majority of you have sent wide range of questions. We have close a bunch of 300 questions. I tried to club the question into different parts. So first, the question relating to what is supply chain, particularly those who are newcomers. Some people want to know the future of supply chain. Some people want to know, should I do certification or should I go for degree? Should I go for MBA? I'm doing MBA, what is the career for me? And then the next comes, okay, how do I accelerate my career? I'm in pharma field, I want to switch over my job. So wide range of questions. So what I'm going to do today is I'll try to cover a large extent the question which I've got from you into my presentations, which will last around 40 minutes. Then the next 25, 30 minutes, I can take the live questions. If the live question comes up, I'll be very happy. You can raise your hand, you can do a chat and do it. So in short, there'll be two parts of the whole presentation. One, my presentation covering your question which I have received from you. I will try my best to answer your queries. Then what we will do is once I have done my presentation, we will switch over to the live Q&A. Well, friend, with this, the objective I'm looking around is learn the career opportunities in the field of supply chain management and how to tap it to accelerate. That is also very important. When I talk of supply chain as a career, as I said in the upfront, it's a career, it's a fantastic career. And now this career is the one which has the wide range of options and directions. In other career, you are stuck with one line. Like when I started the design, okay, I became a designer of one department, then I become the lead, then I become the manager, then I become the general manager, end of it. So you are stuck in the same field. If I'm in air conditioning field, I stay in there. If I'm in the mining field, I stay in the mining field. If I'm designing cranes, I stay in the crane. So you are stuck with few areas around. But then excitement is not there because many of the designs come imported from abroad. But when I talk of supply chain, again, I'm basing on my experience because supply chain was my end of the last 3 decades career, you can say. So there I see the chances are wide. You can move from one to another easily. Then I would also say that supply chain is the only area which covers all the areas of business. Let's say if I'm head of procurement or head of supply chain, I'm dealing with logistics. I'm dealing with demand planning. I'm also taking care of supply planning. I'm also taking care of production planning on the way around. So you can imagine you're in touch with production people, you're in touch with sales, you're in touch with finance, and you're also in touch with customer if the problem comes up, they need some better service around. So in short, this is the only field I can say which touches all the business areas. So this is why sometimes I say those people who want to come into SCM should have networking capabilities. Those people who are very good in networking, good communication, business acumen, are wonderful people in SCM. Now let's try to understand very basic fundamentals of SCM. Some people think it's a flow. Because from one end to another end, things are moving. Different players are involved. Different activities are involved. So it's a basically network of all those activities and the processes. From one end where the raw material is there, other end where the consumer is there. So in short, it is connecting everybody. The only problem comes up in some company, we are in silos. So it is not connecting end to end, it is connecting only within the function. So if you want to connect end to end, then this is a lovely supply chain, because the purpose of supply chain is to integrate all the functions. It includes the processes that transform the raw materials into final products. And when it comes to services also, may not be raw material per se, but then there's an input. There's a professional input from one guy. I convert that professional input into final product and give it to someone. What we expect in SCM is all the time is maximize customer values. I know broadly when we look around, we always talk of saving, saving, saving. I'm not saying saving is not important. Saving is a very tactical approach, very operational, basic operational approach. So when you say customer value, value means you're becoming holistic. You're not looking value per se. You're also looking at how I can improve innovative products around. How can I cut down the lead time? The lead time means it cuts down my work in progress. And how can I help the company in improving the products? Because most of the inputs are coming from suppliers. So if I get innovative ideas from suppliers, my end product is better. So my sale could also improve. So I'm not only affecting the bottom line, I'm also affecting the top line. So this is where we need to be very good. And in summary, also I can say the word is a supply chain. To talk of any activities in the world, it runs around supply chain. Even your kitchen also runs on a supply chain. So in short, if I say the word is a supply chain, when I say supply chain, it is interrelated activities and the processes from one end to another end. So if I had to summarize it, I would say it consists of all the parties involved, directly or indirectly, both. in fulfilling customer requests for goods and services. You go online, you say, I want to buy this. I want to buy a laptop. I want to buy a camera. I want to buy food item. The request has gone from you on online basis, but then somebody is covering the whole chain. From the stage the raw material comes till it comes to your place, including packing, distributions, till it reaches your place. So the whole chain is called supply chain, and managing the supply chain is supply chain. I hope this gives you a broad idea. I know many of you are knowledgeable, but still, let me touch the base on this. So this shows you the basically flow chart for the goods. Similarly, we could have the flow chart for services flow supply chain also. You can see around, it gives you people who are involved in the chain, customers are obviously there, transportation is there, warehousing is there, transport factory is there, and vendors are there. Now, in one side, there's a value flow, other side, there's a what we call around the manufacturing product flow around, then there's also information flow. And there's a finance flow. Because all three things have to move. When the vendor gets the things in time, money comes in. When you deliver the goods, it's a flow of goods around or services. The information also comes up, whether what time it took, whether the goods are done well or not. All informations are there now. The key components, if I see broadly, we are talking of supply chain strategy and planning, sourcing. If we talk about make and manufacturing is all operation part. Then the next comes the delivery part and the logistics part, the warehousing, inventories, transportations, return management. Last but not the least important, I would say, is information management. You want the data coming all the time. So many players are involved around in the chain. Everybody's creating some data for you. And that data you want to be understood very on a real-time basis. So you may use AI, you may use big data to compile the data and then say, guys, no, I'm doing something wrong here. This is where I'm lacking my time around. So that analytic part is important. This is the only job I can say based on my experience, which I've moved from, as I said to you, from design to production. And from production, I went into the materials management. And from materials management, I moved into the supply chain. And later, I was director for procurement for the UN. And I was chairman of the UN, again, worldwide. So I've moved from various functions. I can say honestly, this is the only job where you never get bored. Even when you want to leave in the evening, you say, guys, oh, let me do this also. Let me do this also. And you get a call and then you head to heaven. So these are the people who are sometimes every day is unpredictable. You go with a plan and then you find, oh, this is not done well. For better or worse, this is the most challenging function I got. And another good thing about supply chain, you work as a team all the time. Because there are so many players involved. And nobody can work in isolation. The purpose of supply chain is integration. And integration means if you are a leader, you have to integrate all. You have to go to the customer, you have to go to the in-house customer. If somebody's saying, tell them, guys, these specs are not okay, this supplier can change this. Can you do it better this way? So you are basically integrating. Now, if I say SCM carriers again, broadly, I would call SCM is data driven nowadays. Not the good old days, just delivering the goods item. No, it's data driven. It's competitive. If today we say one company is better than others, it is not the people per se, it is the supply chain is better than others. So who are competing? The supply chains are competing, not the companies competing. So the focus of most of the companies today is to improve the excellence of your supply chain. And job is never boring. This is a good thing about this. Now, networking, I would say, is very, very important around the supply chain. The wide range of carriers. To summarize, I would say this page, particularly one, I would say is those people who want to get into supply chain and they feel I'm good for it. Always they should look around, because wherever I have got the chance to interview people, I say first thing I try to assess is, do they have a business acumen? The business acumen is a must. Networking. wonderful networkers who can get the job done anyway. Things never stop. So you have to be extrovert, you have to be a network person, good in negotiations. So those type of skills are very, very important. And top of it, analytical and tech savvy also. Because without technology, you cannot do many of the things. Many activities, so many players are involved around getting the inputs for each one. You need a good skill on that. So broadly, many people have raised the questions, what type of carriers I can make in SCM? I've seen people in demand planning. My own family member, he's a PhD from MIT. What he does? He's a director of demand planning in Apple in the US. So there are people, I've seen people coming with even the best education. See, one thing you should not forget, education teaches you to become analytic, particularly those who are coming from technical background. So you are very analytical. You are able to analyze wide range of parameters, and those who are using regression formulas for doing demand planning, what parameters could affect, what could be the weightage of this parameter, which are all not static. Nothing is static in today's world. So when parameters in the past, I would say, okay, price is one parameter, economy is another one, but how much weight to give around for the demand planning? You need people with the right skills. Procurement and strategic sourcing. So procurement to me has been a very traditional, if I look around, still in India I see, it's a very operational type, transaction based. But those days are going away because the transaction part is going to take over by RPA, robotic process automation. So now people are switching over to strategic part, strategic sourcing, category management. That's the new area. Next area which I look around is dispositions, investment recovery. You buy something, you get surplus materials, the product life is over, you want to dispose them off. So that is again part of the SCM. You're working in a steel plant, so much scrap around, how do we get rid of? Logistics, certainly. Materials management, production planning, production controls, product service development. So you are also providing services to the people to whom you are given a product. Supply planning, warehouse management, inventory controls, packaging. If you're doing e-commerce, somebody has to package and then distribute to you and me, different places around. Transportations, supply chain design is very important nowadays, particularly those who are doing with a very complex supply chain. They have to design it. How can I make it more optimized? How can I make it more cost effective and much more productive? Remove the friction. So that's the way we call it. Data analytics and transformation. Supply chain is going through major transformation. Now, if I talk of COVID-19 is putting another thrust on it to go for transformation. So when we give this idea about supply chain, the competencies are also changing. So those of you who are already in this field are already planning to switch over to this field from any other lateral field. Keep in mind, this is the only wonderful career where you need multi-dimensional knowledge. I remember when I was the director for procurement and legal unit, I'm not a legal expert, but I picked it up. So you have to understand the legal side. You have to understand the procurement side. You also have to understand the finance side. Sometimes even I tell the people, if you want to survive in supply chain, you should be the CFO of your supply chain. I'm not saying CFO of the company, but your own supply chain, you should be the CFO. If you don't speak the language of a finance, people won't listen at that level. So this is a wonderful career where you have to understand the finance, you have to be good networkers, good communicators, know a little bit about legal, know about procurement, know about other things around, and technology as well. Which field gives you such a wide range of focus around? Center of expertise, understand the evolution of technologies, very important around. I remember I was very proud when I implemented 2005, I was leading the procurement supply chain implementing ERP worldwide. It was a wonderful challenge, and I was very proud when we implemented the big bang. But now I see things which was wonderful those days may not be good today. They are just backdated. Some of them become dinosaurs. New things have come up around. If I'm doing a warehouse management system 10 years back, I won't have bothered. Today I need a warehouse management system. I need a transport management system. I need different apps around. So you have to be very conversant with this thing. As a business side, I'm not saying that you have to become a programmer for that. No, there are people to support you. But from the business side, how technology can help you to improve your business. And act as a consultant. Mindset has to change. You are not just the actor to do the job. Your job is always to become creative. I'm head of this function. Okay, we've been doing this. I feel there are a lot of problems in this. There are a lot of friction in this. How can I overcome this? So always be as a consultant approach. And if you are the supply chain leaders, broadly, I would say in the time to come, you have to be customer driven. Anything you want to do around customer driven. Second, I would say sustainability is also going to become important. The ethical side of the people. And environmental impact also. And then whatever you capture, the information should be, insights should be there on a real-time basis. Nowadays, those who are going into supply chain management 4.0, they're always talking on a control tower. All informations are available on a real-time basis. If I have got a real-time information, my results will be better, my decision will be better. If I'm moving in a straight line mark, I have to depend on so many people to get the latest information. So from straight line, we're moving into circle with the control tower, where all the information is there from the supplier also, from vendor, from my customer also, my salespeople also, my finance also. All information about that particular product is there. And then I take my decision. And then certainly you need intelligent technologies to take care of many things around. Reason to choose career in SCM for those who have still not made a career for this, or those who are still hoping, I'll spend some years and move around. This is the only profession which affects everybody's life. You, me, anyone around. Even today when we're sitting at home, it's affecting us to get the essential good at home. Who's carrying it? It's only the supply chain. So this is the one first activity which government has relaxed, guys, okay, the supply chain should go on. Fastest growing career. Till last year, it was the fastest growing. I know this year there is some setback, but keeping in mind the way we are moving, I hope from next year onward, this will be again booming area. Number of people engaged in this is around 42 millions. Now, coming back to the demand part is a question mark what level I'm talking. Very basic operational levels, are we talking at a managerial? People who have got the wonderful skills of analytics, new areas like data analytics around, artificial intelligence, machine learning. I'm not talking of the IT per se, I'm saying those who understand the business side. They are big in demands, and I think with the time to come, this will increase further. Over the next 10 years, we expect again addition of 10 million people, but much more knowledgeable on latest things. In the past, anybody could go into supply chain. Look around transportation, anybody can move into this. But today, transportation is moving from unorganized sector to organized sector. Warehouse has to be managed properly. Inventory control has to be done properly. So you feel that you need different skills. The good thing is in this, the common entry level position, I can say, which people come up, either they come with a procurement as a purchase officer or a buyer or whatever you call, transport analyst around, inventory specialist, production coordinators, different field people start differently. So those people who are with the mechanical, they think, let me start with the production side, first as a production coordinator, then become production supervising, but then there are other people who say, no, this is not important, I want to move into that. So you can try different fields, and then later on, when you feel that you are good in this, you can rise to a supply chain. Now coming back to the again COVID-19 is the Black Swan. I'm calling it the Black Swan. But there are many types of risks. Some are manageable. We all know how to manage. But this type of Black Swan, which is unmanageable, I would call for the time being, which comes and disrupted everything, unforeseen disruption. In my generation, the first time I can say, first time big disruptions around Black Swan, and we are still struggling to find cure for it. And this COVID-19 is a perfect example of structural break. So the way we were used to a normal life, it has changed the whole structure. So that means the landscape of supply chain is bound to change. Old landscape, what we had, no more. There's going to be spur on some activities, which I know will take time, because first thing is focus of the government, focus of the people, focus of industries is becoming that we have to become self-reliant. I remember when we were there, when I was working with WTO also, long back, the focus was globalization. And in the globalizations, things are being outsourced, low-cost countries, fine, but in the low-cost country, all narrow down to one countries, majority cases. All pharma items, if you look around the APIs, the basic ingredients, they're all coming from China. So now people are forced, it's not that we can't do it. So now government is putting an emphasis on it, so we could have the ingredients too. So I think from globalization, the concept is coming of regionalizations and localizations. All those concepts are coming around. Or you will have multiple choices as well, not having all the eggs in one basket. The concepts are changing. I feel India could become the nerve center of supply chain in years to come. So from next year, you will find certainly a major impact. So by the time the whole dust settles down of the COVID-19, the major transformation I look around is digital. You can't afford to go in a linear path. In the linear path, I've got 70 players, and I want to get the information from the first player, second player, all information get twisted. It's more like a bullwhip effect, those who have gone through the supply chain. If you want to get the real information, all are connected. So in short, I would say digitization is bound to happen. Much more impact will happen. So technology will get a big boost. And in addition, when we are talking of this year as a social distance, we have to keep around, even those companies which are opening around, the department retail shops are opening around, social distance, plus the mask also. So even if suppose some of us open up in a week's time or 10 days time, the very first thing would be in the office, how do we keep social distance? How do we make all activities contact free enough? So that means we have to move into the digital path. Time to get ready for post-corona world around. So that world, I think, is bound to be different. We have all seen internet has become our meeting points around. Our home has become the offices around. So you can imagine around some changes are bound to happen. The mindset is changing. People are getting used to online shopping. So the digitalizations is getting a big movement around. Now, if I look at if I look at India as a whole, the moment you want to grow up, this is the only sector which is the linkage sector, which links everything. And if this link is strong, economy will boost. So since the whole economy is linked with the chain, and chain is as strong as the weakest link. So this is important. SCM is the only one which connects, we talk of any markets, suppliers, customers, dotted across the country. Healthcare could become telehealth. I'm not saying totality, somewhere we have to go to hospital, but if I've got my reports around, I can share my reports with the doctors, I could have a chat with them, her. It could become. Retailers also bound to change. They're already hearing for the last few days, the Facebook joining hand with Reliance to help the retailers. Then the other ones, Flipkart and Amazon, they're also coming up to help the retailers. So you can imagine around there's going to be major change in that approach also. So ultimately, we want to move into contactless shopping. Now, beyond coronavirus, the path to normal. I know in a week's 10 days, when many of us opens up, the very first thing we have to resolve is how can we ensure the business continuity? The business continuity, which was broken down for many of us, how do we ensure the continuity? Keeping in mind all those things around of social distance and all those norms around. So how do we do that? And I think this problem is going to be there for those companies which has many people around. How do we ensure them? Should we change the layout of the shop floor or the office? How do we cover it? So resolve is the first thing. Second, return and resilience. Suppose we have done the part. Now, how do we again have change our approach that we have become resilient? I know in the past, this focus has not. We have been talking of risk management part, but very few times we have talked about the resilience. I mean, COVID-19 was the biggest shock of this generation. But if we talk of this as a shock, we don't want similar shock to come again. So can we become a shock proof? How do we take care of this resilience part? So actually, we are coming up with a game also soon you will have online. You can play with it, it's available to everybody to assess whether you are resilient or not. Reimagination and reform. So you have to think of new ideas, reform, the creativities. I think when we talk of these areas around, we cannot forget that IoT and AI are going to play a key role. If I want to get the latest information from all the players, I don't want to go in the linear path. I have to go to IoT, Internet of Things. So each player is connected to IoT and sensors. Information is going to the tower, and that information you're trying to squeeze around, and you have the insights. So this is where these technologies are becoming immediately a part of. Now, coming back to the COVID-19, some of the questions which came around, which sectors will take more time, which sector will this? This is the one I got from my own family member, so he is prepared for the. So he is done for the red sectors, yellow sectors, green sectors. The sectors which are demand is still low, let me be honest. The travel, transport, the local businesses, hospitality, they are on the low side. So they are still in the red sector. The yellow sector mean when I talk around red sector, yellow sector, I mean they are not doing that bad, they're picking up and soon will pick up. IT, softwares, and those software companies which are working on AI, big data, they will have a big boom soon to cope up with the US demand and the Western country demand. Logistic and shipping around will take time. Particularly logistic when I take up the global logistics, global shipment. The global shipment has a big hit around, mainly because of oil industry. As you heard a few days back, many of the traders in the US, they're saying, guys, take away the oil, crude. We pay you money. The price is minus $30 per barrel. So the world is changing very, very fast in that sense. But when I talk of the green ones, certainly it's coming, those people who work from remote, for them, this will remain a green area still. Then we talk of the other continent, business continuity planning. Then we're talking of the local deliveries. E-commerce certainly is going to grow fast. Home entertainment, education, learning, these sectors will remain green. Demand will pick up because people will have time to learn and pick up more skills around. They say, guys, okay, my workload is not picking up. Let me learn some more skills around. So learning, education, they are going to grow. Now, when we talked of, again, Industry 4.2, so I think all of you know it. So we have all had Industry 1. Industry 2.0, 3.0, and 4. 3.0 came in 1969 when the computers came. And now we have 4.0 for the last 2 years. Here we have a wide range of technologies now available around. It connects human being with machines as well. So we have advanced robotics, 3D printing, IoT certain is playing a key role, is picking up in a big way. Artificial intelligence, big data, blockchains, intelligence, wide range of activities are going to. So when Industry 4.0 is changing, supply chain management 4.0, which we could use the word 4.0 as a smart. Smart industry is 4.0. Smart SCM is 4.0. So the smart SCM is trying to make use of these things, technology. When we talk of the future part, as we all know, change is bound to happen. It's not a static word now. And COVID-19 has certainly opened a new era around, I would call. So in the new eras, I think you have to be very customer driven. Customers' demands are changing at a fluctuating, regular basis. So the very first P I will take around, the very P will be the putting the customer first. Then picking up the right logistic model. Should I go with it? 3PL, 4PL, this thing, that thing, what mode of transportation? That's important. And visibility in the supply chain. So supply chain should be visible. If you are the boss in the supply chain, you should be able to get information straight on your screen by press of a button. It should not happen that you call the guy will say, guys, sir, give me a few days, I'll come back to you. So we want visibility. Last but not the least is partnership, which I've shown on the side, shaking hand with partnership with supplier. So these 4 P's could help us to move into the new future eras. So this is why I said in the very beginning, when we are trying to become into this field of supply chain, relationship with supplier is also important. Relationship with customer is also important. You should be a good network and good analytics also. The themes of SCMs, keeping in mind the future changes, risk mitigation. I know in the past, nobody cared just to deliver. But now we have to think of the future strategy. How do I cut down my risk, upcoming risk? And particularly the SWAN, the Black Swan. Develop resilience. How do I become shock proof that in case tomorrow anything happens, I don't lead to a situation the way we are today? Digital transformation. I think there is no way out. We are all moving into these directions. Many of us who are sitting at home were getting used to buying online. So digital transformation is becoming part of our life. When I say that when we're talking, the approaches are changing, then talent also has to be updated, upskilled accordingly. The role of AI, big data, drones, they're all coming up. Perception of SCM. Still, many people don't think SCM is the driver, but I can tell you in years to come, you'll find SCM will become the driver of the business outcome. So if you look broadly, I'm not getting into much detail. This shows you the digital supply chain, what type of technologies in the sourcing stage, manufacturing stage, planning stage, and logistics stage. What technologies? I'm not saying everything is relevant for all. Each one has to do the return on investment. If I'm the boss of one department, say, okay, I want to implement this. What is for me? What returns are? So depending on the complexity of your chain, you have to think around all this. So in short, when we want to receive the visibility of all stakeholders, internal and external. So we are moving into digital journey, keep that factor in mind. Another thing which comes into the picture is certification. This question has been raised by many of you. Should I do certification? Should I do degrees? I'm not undermining anything. When you come from the college, first thing you have to make up your mind whether what type of aptitude you have. If you have a business aptitude, you're very good analytics, good networking, and you feel I want to go into the supply chain part, yes. After your degrees, if you want to go into the masters, you're going good college, good place where you feel you're going to learn something. Go for it, no issues. But if you feel you're not getting admission to the wonderful best colleges around, I will say to me it's a waste of time and money and experience. So move into the career and do some certifications. Now certifications are at different levels. It can be at a beginner level, middle level, and senior level. In the beginner level, say, guys, I can do local certification, I can do global certification also. I always focus on global certification. They are relevant worldwide. People know it. So global certifications. Then when you reach the manager level, when you say, guy, I need a different certification, you can do that. And once you go to the next level, at a senior level, then you want to do in a specialized areas. You want to do in category management. You want to do only in strategic sourcing. You want to do in the blockchain. You want to do in something different. So I leave it to you what to. So both are relevant around. It depends what comes up. But keep in mind when we talk of certification, certification is one way to boost your careers. Unlike master degree, it takes 6 to 12 months maximum. In spite, even if you're busy around, if you spend 1 hour per day basis, you can finish in 6 to 8 months. What certification does is check your knowledge, A, S is skill, and A is aptitude ability. Which in the degrees, when you get around, nobody looks at your skill. You only get degree based on K. S is ignored. Your aptitude, nobody looks around. Whether the guy has aptitude or not, but the guy does MBA in X and Y, fine. But here what we're trying to see is whether you have the right aptitude. So competency to come and change this up. But degree gives you a broad business knowledge. This certification may not have the broad business knowledge. Let me be honest. So both are complementary, I would call around. I will not say one further, but depends where you start. I've seen those people when they're done just the basic degree and then move into this, do certification with the time, and they're the smartest people in that. Because they're very good hands-on people and good business. So it depends how you cope up, how you move in the path. Before you do degree or certification, do ask this question. How will I demonstrate my competency and understanding? If you are thinking of just taking a degree, then it's a different ballgame. I will say it's a waste of time. At the end of the day, when you go for the interview, people are going to ask you 10 questions. So if you are not able to demonstrate your competency, you're done on logistics and you don't know Incoterm, you don't know how to select X and Y mode of transportation, then I think I'm sorry for that. Then you have to understand something. Will this certification or certificate program determine my level of competencies? Yes, there are a wide range of certification. Again, I focus a lot on the international certifications because they are worldwide known and they are very difficult to pass also. It is not that you join and you get a degree. There are many colleges which you just join, pay money and get a degree, then everybody knows the market value. So if you want to do it from a good place, that's very important. Will this help me to improve my careers? Check all these questions around. Will this help to improve my credential? If not, then no. CPSM certification, if I say around, is one of the top, it's gold standard, I would call. It comes from ISM USA, which is 105 years old. Think of those days when certification, when degrees were not there. Those 100 years back, 50 years back, it was all certification. Now the certification also have changed. Every third and fourth year, the course content changes for the certification. So in short, I would say more than degrees, certification are much more relevant as on today. CPSM, which we do it around, we change the syllabus content, our headquarter changes in the US every 4 years. And same is true for others also. I'm not saying ours, everybody changes the syllabus content. So another certification, which is from the United Nations also, this you can do at the very beginner level also. Take one program, let's say in sourcing, another one we do it on logistics, then on operation, then on planning. You could do in piecemeal, and once you do all, you get a diploma in international supply chain. But if you get each one, then still you get a certificate on each one, separate, international certificate. There are other online programs we have with the World Bank help. We have one PDPP. So I was one of the founders for this program when the World Bank launched it. Then we have e-learning programs which are available through our on-site, and some we are giving during this period on a discounted prices also. Now benefits, I don't need to go much more into this. The key benefit is these certification, you have to keep it active for the lifetime. It's not like a degree that you have done 20 years back. You have never been in that field and you still say I'm a doctor. You have never practiced it. So you have to do certification as the time goes through. Now coming back to the strategies part, let me say, you own your career. Let me again emphasize, not your firm. So you are the master of your career. Don't expect that somebody will design for you. You own your professional development, not your boss. Sometimes we think the career is all about getting a right title. No. You might have been moved from a manager to GM, yes, but the question is, you need the amalgamation of all the skills, the technical skills, the management skills, knowledge, networking, and if you have made up your mind, you should be able to go for it. Now here I'm trying to put down, based on my experience, 6 key bullets around which are very essential to accelerate your career. You must have soft skill. Again, I'm emphasizing the very first thing as soft skill. If you want to be the manager, you want to be the vice president, you want to be the senior director, if you can't communicate properly in writing and verbally, sorry guys, you can't do it. Goal setting. So you start setting your goals for the next 5 years. I want to be here. And you should be disciplined in that approach. Don't be very casual. Time bound. Forum participation. There are nowadays big forum on the LinkedIn, and we have on the supply chain. In each city we have, Bangalore, Mumbai, Chennai, NCR, we have separate groups around. Please join them. They don't cost you anything. But then you become a network person. People know your skills. People even share the job around. And the time to come, many of the job at the senior level will be through networking, leadership. Why do you get the feedback also from your team? Mentoring. If you start a career in a company and you feel I have the best, more qualified than my people, no. You have to check around who's the smartest guy in your team around. Make him him or her the mentor. Learn from them. When you get knowledge, you also mentor. The third is upskill. I won't have said this point around 20 years back. Nobody cared for it. Now the skills are changing every time. Expectations are changing every time. Sometimes we talk about the big data. Sometimes we talk about the AI. Then we talk about the blockchain. The guy says, how many things I have to learn? You have to learn lifetime, let me tell you. You have to unlearn, learn. So whatever you learned 20 years back, maybe you have to unlearn. And now you have to learn new things around. So upskill is very important. Networking. Challenge yourself. Sometimes we are scared to take a challenge. We have worked for 10 years in one company. We reach the comfort zone. I can understand around because now you know the job left and right. But the problem is the moment you stop learning, you're not fit for other jobs outside. So please take a challenge all the time. If you feel your learning has stopped, get a jump and get out. So don't remain in a comfort zone for long. Showcase your personal brand. You must showcase your personal brand. Everybody must, in every company, people know this guy is very serious. If something is not being done, give it to this guy, job will be done. So everybody has a brand. Some people are very analytic, some are very tech savvy. You must having a good brand of yours, positive brand, if you want to grow in the career. Don't take it casually. The final thoughts, again, I will say before I close this session, is a good career, is a wonderful career. Keeping in mind that you have the right aptitude and the right skill. SCM jobs pay well and great room for career growth. Good thing about SCM is that you don't have to come from one field. You can come from a commerce field. You can come from arts. I've seen people coming from music background into this in the US. You can come from engineering discipline. You can come from any discipline into this. Higher demand for managerial talent, continuously evolving around, and develop your strategy to accelerate. Well, friend, with this, I want to thank you for patient hearing and wish you best to become the SCM leader.